I was born when Hitler was in power. It was just the start of his regime. Through the Depression, 1933, Germany was bereft of nearly everything and long queues, no money, no jobs. And Hitler was the man that put the butter on the table as well as the bread. And he promised every German an oil lamp with their own oil from Arabia within a very short time. And the Germans fell for it because they had no jobs and he was supplying it. So I didn't want to hang around any longer, and I said, I'll go to America. So I went to the American consulate and said, I want to go to America, and they said, yeah, and so do 1,000 others. Well, I said, I want to get out of Berlin, so what can I do? And he said, well, Australia is looking for somebody. So go over to the Australian consulate, because we had the consulates all in Berlin. So I went to the Australian consulate and I said, I want to go to America, but they don't want to take me, so what about you guys? And they said, yeah, we'll take you, but second chance, do you want to go to New Zealand? And I said, I don't know where it is, and I don't even know where Australia is. And so they said, well, here's the map, have a look. Oh, no, I said, Australia is far enough. New Zealand is too far for me. All right, Australia it is. Sign up. So I signed up. Within 3 weeks, I was on the ship to Australia. Yeah, and it took us 3 weeks to get here. So it was almost like an old-fashioned ship transport with the sailing ships. We landed in Fremantle, and it was 45 degrees. And we walked around the town and thought it was fabulous because the cars were only 300 pounds, and in Germany there were no cars because of the war. So we thought, oh, we come to heaven. Wonderful. So we walked around in 45-degree heat, had ice creams and drinks and all that sort of stuff, which was good. Then in 3 days we were in Melbourne. Guess what? In Melbourne it was snowing and sleeting. And we couldn't believe it. 45 degrees in Fremantle and 0 and snowing in Melbourne. So then we had to board the train going towards Bonegilla, and it took us 8 hours from Melbourne to get to Bonegilla. Bonegilla was an army camp right here on the border of New South Wales, Albury, and Victoria. And anyway, that was empty, and so they said it was all right for the migrants to come in. But 8 hours it took us from Melbourne to Bonegilla. And coming back to Bonegilla after the snow and ice in Melbourne, it was back to 45 degrees. And we thought it was marvellous because there was a big lake and we could go swimming. And it was freedom. There was grass and everything. But they told us not to walk through the grass because there were snakes and spiders. And not to dive into the lake because there was barbed wire there and we could get tangled up. Within the first 2 days, we had 3 people dead. 2 tangled up in the wire in the lake. And 1 person had a BMW on the ship, a motorbike, and he went down to Melbourne to pick it up. He had a heat stroke. There was no helmets at that time. He had a heat stroke and he died on the way up to Bonegilla. So we had 3 dead people in the first 10 days. But I wasn't very long in Bonegilla just as well, because the cooks were terrible. The cooks were shocking. They boiled lamb until it was dead. Boiled the lamb that was already white. They boiled it until it was worse than white, so real dead. And the smell of it. During the day, we dreaded the smell. So there was a ruckus, and we said to the powers to be, this is no good. There are French, there are Italians, there are Greeks, there are Germans, there are Swiss. We can cook better than your Australian people. No, I don't think so. Well, let's try it. Do you want to do it? Yes. All right. So you got 1 day to prove it. 1 day, 1 midday, and 1 evening meal. They cooked beautiful, and it smelled beautiful through that whole camp. So what happened? All the cooks, the Australian cooks, were sacked because nobody wanted to eat their food. So now we had a la carte food. Wonderful. Swiss, French, Italian, Greek. Wonderful. So I lasted 10 days. And in Wangaratta, which was only about 50 k's from Bonegilla, I had a job arrangement with an upholsterer, so I started upholstering in Wangaratta. Wonderful, wonderful. Wangaratta is just excellent. There's snow on the hills, there are rivers for fishing, and there's freedom. It's wonderful, yeah. That's where I wanted to live forever.